move instead, off to the outside, try to open up the corner, and wow, great move from Oliveira. Can he get this one right back? Cavisto's not done, but he carries the speed well. Oh, nearly. Once again, banging doors. Inside for Piper. If he can keep it on the track, he doesn't. Oh, wheels spinning up the grass as Cavisto somehow doesn't get into the wall. 3 wide, down into Hobbs, and diving it deep. Oliveira really wants that spot.
This was on my side monitor, and I watched him flash through here. This is insane. Look at it, offline, in the marbles, gets around Mr. Sneaky. I think we're going to have to change Mr. Sneaky from Takeshi Kita to Gunderson.
He's got a little bit of an overlap, and he's got the right-hand side. DJ seems to think that's the place to go. Will that be the case? He gains a little bit back, but now it's going to switch back in favor of David Burns. He carries it around the outside with a ton of speed, but he keeps it well, and he's got a nose ahead coming off the corner. Burns has better momentum. He has got it. David Burns will win here in Canada.
Watch how close this gets. Andrew Hardman, king of going up the inside, decides to go around the outside. Overprotected going into there. Hardman actually in the lead at this point. Waring comes back and says, nope, I'm not letting you have it. I'm taking one of the 10,000 lines going through 10 and gets back into the lead. This was a pass on the last lap that became an unpass as they went into that final corner. Good defense from Waring. Hardman trying to go around the outside, gets the power down, but just doesn't quite have enough to make it. But that was some amazing racing.
And Challoner is going to try it, and they're going to go 3 wide. That's his teammate, is it not? One of our Evolve drivers, but it looks like Challoner can't quite make the pass. Andrew Waring trying to come back through as he cuts underneath a savvy move from the number 5, and he's going to have that 3rd place.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
With Partanen dominating and his rivals gasping to keep up, they'll need something to shake things up. Enter Detroit. Both in sim racing and the real world, this place throws up unexpected results. It punishes the skill just as equally as the average. Can Pauli continue his march in the Motor City? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Belle Isle Circuit has been challenging drivers for 3 decades now. Let's take a closer look to see what it makes it so tough. Welcome to the Belle Isle Street Circuit. Situated in a beautiful park on Belle Isle itself, it rests in the Detroit River, sandwiched between the Motor City and Canada. With it being in the far north of the Midwestern United States, as you'd expect, harsh winters make this a bone-jarringly bumpy track. It's most known for IndyCar's yearly visit, but has also seen IMSA hold rounds here lately. The 14 narrow corners only add up to a mere 2.3 miles in length, but it can tend to feel like a lot more just from the sheer stress of keeping your car out of the walls. Runoff is non-existent in the majority of corners, so mistakes tend to be punished with race-ending damage. The dangers include the tight and twisty fountain section with its rapid-fire set of bends, and the frightening turns 12 and 13, which end the lap with 2 swift kinks. However, the most notorious spot on the track is the exit of Turn 2, made famous by collecting the Corvette pace car into its hungry walls one year. The first 2 turns are a quick chicane, so the extreme change of direction, plus the rise in the track as it crosses over a creek, means grip and balance can disappear in an instant. While the setup of the car can sometimes help lessen the annoyance of the bumps a little, what this place all comes down to is driver skill and daring. Precision will pay off with the close proximity of the barriers. While it isn't a stroll in the park for drivers, fans get to enjoy the beauty of the scenery, all while watching some of the most thrilling racing an American street course has to offer. Well, DJ, this is certainly going to be interesting for our drivers, especially since we just barely split, so it should be the best of the best.
It will be the best of the best, but the best of the best are going to find themselves incredibly challenged around this very tricky circuit. Pretty much everywhere is an area that the walls just want to come out and grab you and pull you in. Not a whole lot of chances for overtaking here. Really, your only opportunity is probably going to be going down off of Central Avenue in that right-hander onto the Fleming Straight. That looks like going from the Strand onto the Fountain section. There should be an area, but there really isn't. It's just too much of a winding backstretch there. Although speaking of the Fountain section, have to be very careful. They're very difficult to get the car woed up, as you've got to be applying steering lock and applying brake pressure as you do it. And Joe, altogether, this is one of the most challenging circuits on iRacing, and it will test and punish you.
Certainly will. And as we take a look at the championship points, as I mentioned, Pauli Partanen has been just taking win after win. And look at that, 131 points. That's more than 2 wins ahead of Paul Williams. Now, that's only counting one drop week in effect, though. And Williams has a 0. Partanen has only a 2 that he is going to drop currently. That'll change as things go on. From there, we do get some good battles. Freesia, de Turk, and Reed all very close together. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Michael for the remainder of the season, but we've also been missing Gernot for some time. And then Karthik Pai has been getting some good results lately, so we'll see whether or not he can keep that up and maybe start to challenge into the top 5. However, in the team standings, also starting to see a little bit of separation there. DJ?
Indeed, Marlboro Team McLaren able to pull out a 28-point gap over Olympus Cameras Wolf Racing, but a very tight battle there for second with Martini Racing Team Lotus only a single point back from Olympus, so that's a battle to keep an eye on. Fourth with Ligier Justin, they're kind of in an island unto themselves, but they certainly have Equip Renault Elf banging on the door. Shadow Racing Team and Candy Team Tyrrell pretty close there as well for 6th. A little ways back is Auto Delta Alfa Romeo and Warsteiner, and Parmalat Racing Team Brabham. They are in their own little battle for P9.
As for today's race, it's going to be a few laps around here because we've got very short laps, even in this older car, 33 that they'll circulate. It's an open setup, but I have to think that most everybody is going to be cranking wing into this thing. It's also no spare car. Well, that's going to be a big talking point because it's so easy to rack up damage at this place. They also have a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25. I'm not sure how anybody is going to even manage 17 at this place here today. We're in the midst of qualifying, and once again, we have Michael de Turk here with us. Michael, welcome back. I normally say I assume that you're happy to be up here for today, but it sounds like you're actually a pretty big fan of this track.
No, I've developed a bit of a reputation for enjoying street circuits, which probably annoys everyone since generally I set a lot of the schedule. So, no, I'm sad to be missing Detroit. I love this track. I think it presents a unique challenge, especially in this car.
And right now we're in the midst of drivers, I think mostly taking their second laps, trying to see who is on a good flyer right now. Dylan Freckleton is just finishing up his, but he's on the latter half of that. How about Pablo Suarez? I believe he just finished his first lap. And Michael, actually, you could give us a unique perspective from a driver. Let's give a ride along with the 14 who puts himself into 15th on that first lap.
Yeah, Pablo's headed down Central Ave here. You really got to just watch for that braking zone and just barely miss that inside curb. He's actually just a hair wide there, but runs it out nicely to the outside curb. And as you turn onto Loiter Way, you want to watch for that left curb. It's really easy to take an early apex there and end up in the outside wall and brush the inside wall there. He does a really nice job of getting tight to that wall there and get a nice run down the Strand. This is just a matter of not being blinded by the sun. I know it's a late race today, and a lot of guys are going to have to deal with that and just get the car just all the way down on the brakes, down to that first apex. Second gear, down to first in qualifying for this left-hander into the fountain section. And then you really want to keep it tight. The fountain's really easy to run wide and end up just too far on this right-hand apex here. And he actually does a nice job of getting it down to the curb and through that drain section. This is the section where everybody crashes. You go into the final couple turns here and run the car out a little too hot, trying to get that extra speed and just clobber the wall, either in the first section through turn 12 or the second section through turn 13. And there he is across the line for the end of the lap.
Just in time to get that second one in, and he improves up to a 20.1, but doesn't take him that high up the order. Let's go through our starting grid. Mika Leno actually takes the pole today. Topi Kortiniemi, who's been pretty quick when he shows up, is going to start from second, as Marco Kala will be P3. It's Pauli Partanen in the fourth position, struggling here today in quali. Jukka Tolinen starts fifth, and Pep Meyer in sixth spot. After that, Paul Williams will be P7, Yanni Ryan in eighth, and Timothy Reed ninth. Rounding out your top 10, it's going to be Tim Vaughn.
Karthik Pai is going to be lining up in 11th, followed by Kimo Vailakainen. Barry West will be 13th with Keith Turner behind him. Pablo Suarez and Dylan Freckleton make up your field.
As I said, only 16 here today, but the crazy thing is it's nearly half the field is finished. 7 out of the 16 hail from Club Finland, so chances are good we'll have a Finnish victor here today, as just the last of them are finishing gridding up. But pretty good racing conditions, thankfully. With the sun going down, the track has cooled to about 83 degrees Fahrenheit for our drivers today, about 28 Celsius. But look at the wind out there on the river. It unfortunately has picked up significantly. Wonder if that's going to affect anybody here amongst the trees of this park. And looks like we just need Partanen, Tolinen, and Viekainen to get out there. Standing start going to be important. It's a short run down to that first corner, but then it's a long run along Central Avenue into the statue turn. Let's see who is going to be able to survive off of that Corvette bridge. And it looks like they've got everyone set up. So here for round 8 of the Sunday Grand Prix Series, as the engine starts to rev and the lights come up, the green flag is out off the line. It's not the greatest for Lino. Kortiniemi takes a little bit of a look, but he has to back out of it by the time they hit Casino Way. And then as the last of them weave their way through, are we clean off of Corvette Bridge? We are. Down they go, DJ, towards the third corner.
And it looks like Marco Kala under a big assault there from Pauli Partanen in that number 1 machine, looking especially squirrely off at the start, but he is able to gather everything back under him. Relatively single file there. I think Karthik Pai doing a little bit of movement around there in the back, but everybody through clean and green here in these first couple of corners as they work their way out onto the strand for the first time.
So far, not seeing any incidents. Oh, and just as I say that, I think Pablo Suarez clipped the inside wall coming into turn 6. I'm not sure if he actually hit it or not, but he was very, very close. Meanwhile, our leader, Mikko, leads Topi Kortiniemi as Marco Kala just behind him rounds out our trio of Finns. Actually, it looks like top 5 I'm seeing right now are all Finnish drivers, and Topi's on a good run so far this weekend in these vintage series, DJ, as he's had a win, and I believe he was on the podium in the Camel Series.
Yeah, indeed, and sometimes you just need that good momentum to carry you through the weekend. As there you can see him coming across the start-finish line at about 150 miles an hour, bringing the car down through that right-left complex. Careful there coming over the bridge as they come in. He's definitely within draft range there of Lino. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move, but he's going to think about it.
Thinks about it, but backs out as they all break down into the third turn once again, but not seeing anybody really having any dives at this stage. Michael, I kind of wonder if everybody's just in survival mode at this point, just trying to get some laps down.
Yeah, I mean, it's Detroit. You know the bumps are going to come. You know that the walls are going to move and jump out at you. You really got to get through that first section and just hopefully make it to the point where you're competitive in the last third. I kind of liken it to Monza in that way, where you want to challenge and you want to move up in the order, but at the same time, you want to just make sure you're there at the end to actually have a shot.
we still have everybody out there. All 16 starters are running, and we're about to finish lap 2. So this is a good sign. I'm honestly a little bit glad that they split. Usually I like more cars out here for this series, but if they would have had 30 drivers at a single split, this may have been a different story here, as the number 6 circulates past the final turn and across the line with half a second lead over Cortinambi. But look at Marco Kayla, DJ. It looks like the Raccoon Racing driver is starting to rival his fellow Finn.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say last lap we were talking about how Cortinambi looked pretty good. Well, now it looks like Marco Kayla, although Kayla loses a little bit of time coming through turns 1 and 2 as they break their way down into 3. It's very tricky to get that power down, as Michael was talking about earlier, coming up over that bridge there and doing all of that. So this is just going to be a little bit of a stalemate, it seems like, for now, but I guarantee you this battle is going to fire off here at some point.
Absolutely, and they're not alone. Partinen's still there. So our current championship leader looking to continue to get good points here. And the driver that he's really got to worry about, Tolinen, is behind him. And Paul Williams is as well, 2 closest in the championship points. First time we've seen Tolinen here since Sonoma back in round 4, interestingly.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Yuka, but good to see him back in the grid. Looking a little bit like he's got to bang off some of the rust there, but he is certainly going to try to stay in close behind. Now, he's going to be out of the dirty air there in about a second back, but he's not going to be getting any effect of the slipstream as he comes down in. So he's going to want to try to close up a little bit more, maybe hope that Paulie's going to be held up a little bit as Vigolino sets the fastest lap of the race.
Expecting that to continue to drop as the race goes on. As these cars get lighter, they usually get faster. Worth noting, as Cortinambi just took the fastest lap away right after that. We've not had many changes of position at all. The hardest chargers are tied at 2 up. That's Viakainen back in 10th and Freckleton up to in 14th.
Little mistake from Michael.
And that's going to open up around the outside there for Topi. That was a brave move, almost looking for 3 wide. Marco Kayla gets boxed in. He has to switch sides. No, he's going to go for the inside a second time, but it gets blocked off yet again as they're 2 by 2 with the top 4 coming into the fountain section. And Mikko has to give it up as Topi Cortinambi, TJ, is going to grab any opportunity he sees.
And that's sometimes just what you have to do here at a street circuit, is being aware of any mistake that gets made and just seizing on the opportunity. Great stuff there from Topi Cortinambi, taking that opportunity, going for it, and not backing down.
I think they may have calmed down. Let's take a quick look at it. This was started by Mikko, and you spotted it first, Michael. What happened here into this corner?
Yeah, it looked like Mikko just lost it a little bit going into turn 5. You can see he just gets a little bit of snap oversteer on entry there, and it really opens up the door for Topi trying to go around the outside into turn 6 and out onto the strand.
I'm trying to recall if I've ever seen a pass around the outside of 6. And unfortunately, it looks like Mikko's still struggling as he just lost another position to Kayla now. Coming into turn 3, Partinen is already all over the back of him. Not sure what's going on with the 6-car, DJ, but he doesn't look happy.
No, he doesn't look happy at all. And if I didn't know any better, I'd say there was some sort of damage to that car, but I'm not seeing anything on the front wing or anything like that. There could be a little under tray damage. Obviously, plenty of bumps around here can knock the car around, but I wouldn't expect it to be that much of an effect.
So certainly not. He didn't hit anything that we had witnessed on any of the replays there. And it was a relatively straightforward pass that Kayla got to the inside, and Lino could not defend as they come out of the fountain once more. And Topi has been unleashed. Look at that. Already a second and some change ahead, DJ.
Yeah, he is really pulling away here, about 9/10 of a second as they work their way past the start-finish line right now. Marco Kayla trying to catch in behind, but he's got a little bit of breathing room as well. Back to Paulie Barton, or back to Vigolino rather, to the tune of about 9/10 of a second as well.
So back onto Central Avenue. They fly towards the braking of turn 3, and nice and easy for our top 3, but still some threat from Partinen as we look back at another train forming. This is Jani Rainen being chased by Viakainen and Timothy Vaughn.
Indeed it is. Everybody just weaving their way through as they head onto Picnic Way now, trying to see what they can get going. Again, I mentioned here, this looks like it'd be a great opportunity to get a pass done onto the Strand, but the truth of the matter is it's just a little bit too bumpy, a little bit too weavy, and the braking zone going down into the fountain section just not really heavy enough to get that pass done.
It's so hard to try and make those overtakes around here. We've seen it both play out here in iRacing and as well at the real track. Coming out of the fountain now as Ryan just manages to keep them at arm's length. Viekainen, one of our Raccoon Racing drivers, sliding it through 12 and 13, but not able to gain much time.
No, not able to gain much time back, but certainly not going to deter them from trying to push around here a little bit more. The Raccoon Racing number 12, seeing what they can do. Always tricky there coming over the bridge. We've seen so many incidents, including the infamous safety car incident there, coming over that exact stretch of tarmac.
Absolutely, and these old school machines that are so raw, I'm sure it's frightening over there. But speaking of the driver's experience, Michael, I mean, you've raced against Mikko, so you might have a little bit more insight. What's going on that he's losing so much time here?
He's so fast. I mean, he's fast all the time, even when he's, seemingly struggling a little bit. It looks like he's having a little trouble on entry. The car's getting a little loose on entry, and he's having to catch it on throttle, and then you try to compensate on throttle and get out of the corner, and you're already loose, so at that point you just keep spinning the tires. So he's kind of sliding the car on entry and sliding the car on exit, which unfortunately is causing Marco and Topi to get away from him a little bit. I hate to say it, but I think it's only a matter of time here before Paulie gets him.
Especially with 4 wins straight for Pauli. Even if he doesn't get the win today, I wouldn't be shocked if he managed to get himself back onto the podium once again. He's certainly been hounding him up to this stage. He needs a good exit right here, and yeah, that was a little slow off the corner there from Mikko. This gives a great run to Pauli. He's closing, but I thought he didn't have enough straightaway. He thinks he does. He's going to chuck the car in. He's down to the inside. The job's not done yet, though. They get inches away from one another, and there it is. That's third place for the number 2.
And that's a lot of times of what you need to do down that little mini Fleming straight to get that to work out. Just keep the car to the inside. Good move from Paulie Partsinen, but he is going to have a lot of work to do. He's got about 2 seconds up the road to Marco Kayla now that he's been released.
Well, it's been a bit sparse on action, but when it has happened, it has been just a flash in the pan. The drivers have to be decisive out here today. And look at the train that this is starting to form. Just that one move allowed Tolanen, Pep Meyer, and Paul Williams to catch up. Timothy Reed, you can almost count him in amongst this. And I got to wonder, DJ, if that's kind of what we're expecting to see, if it's going to be a chain reaction. Someone makes a move and then everybody else is going to try and capitalize.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, Joe. Detroit's one of those circuits that if you lose that rhythm around here, it can really cost you time, and being put offline by getting overtaken can certainly do that. So for Mikolino, he's going to have to just try to gather this back up under him and not be driving in his rearview mirrors, just refocus on driving the right lines and not make a mistake. That's Kimmo Velikainen having an issue coming down through Casino Way.
Yeah, it was a single car incident, and I think Freckleton may have had a little bit of clip on him. I'm trying to see. It was Freckleton that maybe had some ghost contact, but look at this. Spun the car. I'm trying to figure out who that was behind him that barely missed out. That looks to be Timothy Vaughn. So great avoidance by Timothy in that moment.
Yeah, indeed. Very, very heads-up driving. That could have been almost a full track blockage if drivers weren't careful at all. Little bit of a battle. Remember when I said that Paulie Partsinen had about 2 seconds to make up? Well, now that's down to about a 10th.
Ooh, big defense there from Kayla. He feels under threat offline. Hard to get by into this corner. Just not enough straightaway coming into turn 12. So that forces Paulie to back it up and maybe try again later. This is going to be a good opportunity out of Casino Way and over the bridge. Let's see what he does.
Let's see what he does indeed, and I think something may have happened there to Marco Kayla on that last lap. He was down by a couple of seconds. Here he comes, though. Oh, that looks like it's going to be pretty easy there for Paulie Parton, and I almost wonder if Marco Kayla lifted a little bit. Whoa!
No, he had a big bobble coming off the corner. If we get a replay riding on board, as the job of defending's not over, Lino wants some of those spots back, and he senses an opportunity. Oh, no, off he goes. Yeah, something must be damaged for Marco here.
Yeah, that car just did not look like it was handling well. Michael, I think you saw the original moment that cost us some time. Was there any damage involved?
You know, I didn't see him touch the wall, but he, coming off the strand and going into turn 7 there, heading into the fountain section, he had a huge slide that was incredibly saved. But yeah, there it is. Just nice drift entry. You know, you wonder if he's got the e-brake on, and that's what caused Paulie to catch up to him so quickly.
Well, that makes me wonder if maybe that was the start of having some under-trade damage. We often talk about that, DJ, and you can tell the signs better than I can, so you'll have to investigate. But I wonder if he felt or saw that the car had been compromised, and after experiencing too many moments, just decided this isn't worth it.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and check here to see if indeed there was some under-trade damage to him on that. Not entirely sure whether or not there is, but I will do some digging, as they say, Joe.
Well, we're watching now a line of cars behind Yuka Tolanen. I was going to say Pep Meyer. He's the first one sitting behind Tolanen, actually. And then he's got Paul Williams and Timothy Reed in with them. We were talking about this group earlier. Well, they've been split up slightly as Lino's pulling away, and then Marco Kayla was towards the front of it, too. So it's kind of dwindled down. So we've lost Marco, we've lost Kimo here, and we're on lap 11 out of 33. Not too bad of attrition at this stage, but we're certainly seeing a few of them unable to make it through the beastly course that is Detroit's Belle Isle.
Yeah, it is a very tricky course. Always willing to get you here, and with cars running as close as they come to one another here, this is that kind of area where you start to worry if somebody makes a mistake up in front of you that it could send a whole cascade down through the field.
In the meantime, up at the front of it, Topi Kortiniemi looking for another win this weekend. He actually won at another track that has quite its own unique challenge. It was the Nürburgring, the combined version over in the Lotus 49s that he absolutely stomped the field in over on that one. But you see the 3-car and that Raccoon Racing machine just continuing to show everybody how it's done in vintage Formula One material.
Indeed, just pulling away there. There you can see second place, number 2, Paulie Parton, and trying to see if he can hold on to that gap a little bit, but it is up to 4 seconds now, about 4.5 seconds up to Topi. So Topi very much controlling the field of the pace of the race at this point. And that'll be good news for him. He can calm down a little bit, although this is one of those circuits that you really have to drive it fast in order to drive it correctly. It's a little bit like Bathurst coming up and down the hill. If you try to back off a little bit, you lose your concentration and it makes yourself more prone to errors.
Oh, speaking of which, I was going to say Freckleton just made a pass, but he smacked the wall immediately after it. He was getting by Barry West. Dylan is our biggest mover. I'm hoping the car is okay, because I'm pretty certain the tires just pancaked the right-hand side into the fountain section. I think, let's see if we can find a replay of it. It was right immediately after he passed into turn 7.
Well, it doesn't look like there's any cosmetic damage to the around the car, no wing damage whatsoever, but here it is. Now, this is him coming down that bumpy backstretch, making that tricky pass that we talked about, catches the curbs, able to get through there very on edge. You see that tail end a little bit. Oh. That's going to wake you up in the morning.
Yeah, and amazingly, he's still got the spot, but he had to lock up the brakes heading on into turn 3. I would be shocked if this car is at 100% right now. And, well, yeah, I'd say, Michael, that he's a little on edge after that.
Yeah, I think he picked up just a little bit of suspension damage. I think he mostly got away with it, but it does look like the wheel is just a hair to the left when he's going straight. Not that bad, not to the point where it's undrivable, but enough where it'll get into your head.
So let's see if this one's better down into turn 7. Yeah, okay, maybe he's gotten a handle on it now and starting to pull away from Barry West, who falls down to 12th. So that's the 5th spot picked up by the number 8 car. It's going to be a bit of a slog to get to the next one. Karthik Pai is about 8.5 seconds up the road. Otherwise, we've only got drivers that are up or down 1 or 2 positions all through the field here today. This is Jukka Tolinen that we can see still being chased by Pep Meyer and Paul Williams, but Timothy Reed is starting to lose a little touch.
Yeah, Timothy's dropped about 0.6 of a second off the back there a little bit. I also have to say Paul Williams also looking like he's getting into that range. These drivers just struggling a little bit with the negative effects from the dirty air. It's a street circuit here, so it's not like you're coming on a lot of really fast sweeping corners that you really feel that pull, but it can definitely affect you.
Down the backstretch, Tolinen does a good job getting the exit. And he's going to prevent Pep Meyer from having a chance down into the braking of turn 7. But this quartet carries on, each waiting for the other to make that little slip up that gives them what they need. They're still trying to see if they can catch up to the number 6 in 3rd place, Mikko Laino, who is starting to run all on his lonesome. He's lost touch with Partanen, but he's also managed to keep himself away from this train. And as we take a look at them, out to complete lap 14. We're just about at the halfway point, so we've had majority of the field survive up to here, DJ. That's a good sign, but maybe fatigue will start to affect them as they get tired having to wheel these things over the bumps.
Well, it's a combination of 2 kinds of fatigue here, Joe. I mean, number 1, you obviously have the physical fatigue. A lot of these drivers driving with some pretty high-end sim racing gear that will really tax your arms and your body as you take over these bumps. The other part of it is the mental fatigue that it takes from being so absolutely pinpoint precise around here lap after lap after lap. That really can take it out of you, and when you start to get into the closing stages of this race, it can really wear you down and leave you prone to mistakes.
You know, DJ, 50% of racing is mental, and 50% of it is being mental. And at Detroit, you have to be 100% committed to that.
It's a good, I like that quote. And right now, these guys certainly have decided that they're willing to be crazy enough to try and tackle this combination. As we see these 4 come out of the last couple turns. Look at how close they get to the concrete coming off of some of these corners. Always struck me as such an old school course in that sense. Those last few turns, there's just no runoff there, and there's no runoff that they could put there, DJ.
No, none at all. I mean, you are running on a very tight island here. It is very compact in at Belle Isle. There's not really a whole lot of area to run. The runoff that has been put in, like here at the exit of Central Avenue, is really there just as escape roads. I mean, that's is most you're talking about around this Belle Isle circuit.
Absolutely. And I mean, we even saw a big accident up here, another space where they have no place to put any runoff there at the exit of 6, where unfortunately we saw a driver a couple years ago just pile into the tires after the throttle wound up being stuck on. Meanwhile, there's that sunset that we're talking about. It's just past 7 o'clock, about 7:15 p.m. virtual standard time here in the sim, which is not typical more often anymore. We see a lot of morning or afternoon races in most series, DJ.
Yeah, we do, and so that's going to present a little bit of a different equation here in terms of track temperatures as they will start to fall a little bit over the course of the session. Currently holding at about 82 degrees Fahrenheit right now, so a little bit on the chilly side in terms of that track temperature, but still relatively in the Goldilocks zone.
Courtniemi! He's off. This is at the bridge. And I don't think he hit the outside wall, but he did lose control on his way over. He's going to get the car going, causing a little bit of problems for those behind, but it looks like it's too damaged. He eventually pulls it off and takes a tow. Wow, so Partanen is once again leading the race. Courtniemi may have mastered the ring, but he has not mastered this incredibly frightful American street course.
And it was just coming over the Corvette bridge there. He just lost a little bit of a twitch oversteer moment as he crested over. I think the car bottomed out, and he just lost it.
Wow. I did not see that one coming, if I'm honest. I've watched Topi race so many times, and he's looked flawless a lot of them. But apparently he is human. And once again, Pauli Partonen looking at 5 wins in a row right here. This gap is just going to be untenable soon.
Yeah, unless Paulie makes a mistake. I mean, it's up to about 5 seconds between himself and Mika Leino, and I don't see Pauli Partonen making a mistake. That is not something you see the driver of the number 2 do.
I want to know what Finnish witch doctor Paulie paid, because every time we come to Detroit, he just seems to just get that little bit of magic from people in front of him having issues. I'm not trying to disparage his pace. Paulie is obviously extremely fast at every track we go to, but for some reason, he just gets that little bit of extra luck here.
Yeah, I was about to say it. I mean, this sometimes taking wins and championships in racing can be down to just sheer dumb luck, but championships especially require consistency, and that is what Partonen has had this season besides his speed. And this one played to that strength beautifully. So Leino, who started this one on the pole, back up to second, but I'm sure he's ruining the fact that he hasn't had the speed to be able to contain Pauli, because he would have had a good chance at a win here today. As we take a look at Mikko there coming off of the fountain section. Yeah, once that move was made, it seemed like that was pretty much race over for Mikko, hoping for a win.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like he has just not really been able to hold on to the pace there as much as he would like to, so certainly falling back down through the order a little bit here, but he at least has a 3-second gap over Jukka Tolvanen and then allow him to hold on for now, and it's just a matter of bringing that number 6 home.
Now, the one thing about this series is that this SOF race often sees some pretty high I rating. In fact, this series has seen some drivers who have gone on to get black stripes in the Dallara IO1 series, the professional series that iRacing runs. So that's the sort of stuff that you see here. So when this top split sees someone who is rated towards the bottom, Pep Meyer is 15th here. It's still pretty high, 2,700, so he's no slouch. But he is racing hard today. He's up in 4th out there.
Yeah, he is really, really pushing it. And it's an impressive run there from Pep Meyer, and he is not backing down at all from this run here. I mean, that's Jukka Tolvanen right up ahead of him, and so he's doing a fantastic job.
So as he follows behind Tolvanen very closely, actually. At times he's had good opportunities. He could maybe try and make a threat, especially late in the race when aggressiveness will pay a little bit better dividends, unless you're just looking to try and capture whatever points you can from here. But these 4 are stuck on a rope, just equidistant from one another for quite a bit of time. Ooh, that was a bit of a slide coming into Casino away from Pep, but he manages it well.
Yeah, manages it well. Speaking of having a little bit of an off lap there, Pauli Partonen off by about a second on the last lap. He ran a 1:19.66. We're seeing behind him Mika Leino putting down a 1:18.5. So maybe just a little bit of a mistake from Pauli, a crack in the armor potentially.
I'm trying to see anything very obvious, and it did look like he had a bit of a wide run out of the fountain section. It's nothing really worth a replay, but almost looked like maybe he just sent it in there a little hot and had to slow up coming off the corner. But again, he's built up such a gap down to the 6 car that really didn't hurt him too badly. And he's back to that spot right here now. And that one, yeah, looks a little bit more typical for him as we jump over instead. Back to Tolvanen, Meyer, Williams, and Reed.
Yeah, and Timothy Reed, the newest real addition into this quartet as they continue to go their way around. I'm getting the sense this is all just simmering a little bit. Everybody waiting to see if they can force a little bit of a mistake, although it does have to be said, unless my eyes deceive me, there may be a little bit of left wing damage to the front of Timothy Reed's machine.
I'm trying to take a look here, and our screens are not showing damage right here. Yeah.
My eyes deceive me.
Yeah, in fact, I'm kind of surprised they're all as clean as they look. There's some very tall curbs, and this car has become kind of notorious for taking damage if you get aggressive on the curbs.
Yeah, it really has. It's a pretty sensitive car, and it's unfortunately it's not like its younger brothers and sisters out there in the form of the Indy cars, the Formula One cars that you see, where you could do a quick wing change in under 10 seconds and get everything swapped out. Getting that damage repair on a front wing takes a lot of time.
Yeah, can't just pop it off, unfortunately. And watching them now once again through the fountain section. Williams struggling a bit that time instead as he falls away from Meyer. And then Reed starts to close up. Are we going to see a little bit of a split between them? No, Reed himself has a bit of a poor exit coming out of the fountain section. So 13 laps to go. This is really some of the closest fights other than this one where Timothy Vaughn has collected up Ryan, and actually it looks like it's becoming a 3-car fight because that's Karthik Pai back there in the yellow machine.
Yeah, Pai's just been slowly but surely reeling these guys in, doing a good job as they battle around. I definitely think that Ryan is holding up Timothy Vaughn here a little bit, and that number 10 machine has got more speed. He's going to want to try to get by that Raccoon Racing machine. Here he comes.
In the inside, it looks like he's not going to be able to hold him off, and Vaughn is through. Ryan has to give it up. P7 for Timothy, up 3 spots since the start of this race, and already Pai has gained a lot of time because of that side-by-side racing.
Yes, he has. Karthik Pai now going to be all over the back of Yanni Ryan in only about 2.5 tenths of a second as they work their way down onto the strand. Now, my guess is that they're going to wait a little bit to try to get anything to fire off, but here, little close, but not close enough.
Just not there. But Pai is certainly threatening. I was saying this Texas driver has been running very well lately. Now, 9th place, probably not as high as he would like to go. But certainly could see 8th potentially if he can just find a way past, as it does look like Ryan might be struggling now because he's already losing touch with Vaughn in front of him after he's made that move. Lino takes the fastest lap of the race in the meantime with that 1:18.2, about a 10th quicker than what Partanen has run currently in this race. But that is worth mentioning because it is worth 2 bonus points in this championship.
Yeah, indeed it is. And as all of that plays out, you definitely want to try to maximize those points as much as possible. Now, granted, Paulie Partanen has run away with the front of the field, as we've said, but plenty of places to behind to be squabbling for. So if you're able to steal that fastest lap away, you might as well push for it.
Yeah, and we have to remember that Mikko started on the pole. That's another 2 bonus points right there. So he's already prevented Partanen from getting a perfect score here today. Might as well try and keep him from getting any other points. In fact, I'm trying to recall. No, he's going to be 2 points shy if he takes both the bonuses away. It'd be 56-54 on the score. But that'll be a big mitigation for Mikko to try and keep Partanen from gaining too much extra up there. And we continue to follow here the battle for what is now the final step on the podium amongst these drivers, and we've hit 10 to go for them, so it is into the final third of this race.
Yes, it is. Pep Meyer continuing to try to close in on Yuka Tolan and Paul Williams behind Timothy Reed, dropping a little bit back. Pep Meyer just kind of poking his nose this way and that, trying to see if there's anything to be had in that number 15 machine, but it looks like right now Tolan has the better measure of him.
Yeah, just preventing any sort of shot at the move for the time being, but he's got to be careful. Ooh, and that was a much better run out of 5 there from Yuka as well through 6, and I thought Pep was going to have maybe a shot at being aggressive down into 7 if he stayed close, but he did not. Falls away to about 4 tenths of a second behind. And as we hop on board with Yuka Tolanen, you can see the Lotus Martini livery that he runs here, racing for that team, trying to do what they can to catch up to the McLaren team, which has basically been held up, propped up by Paulie Partanen this season.
Yeah, it really has. Paulie holding the standard for that team across the board. But it's still not a whole lot of time left to go in this season, so they are the odds-on favorites here at this point, I would have to say, to claim that championship.
Yeah, those 28 points don't sound like much compared to what they're scoring on the driver's side. It is a slightly differently scored championship, but 28 points is far wider than what we expected, even with 4 rounds to go. So they'll have to work very hard to try and overcome that. They really need to start beating that number 2 machine at the races if they want to at least take the team's championship, even if they can't beat him in the drivers' championship. Back onto the strands and along the river they go. And Jukka Tolinen still a handy 4/10 away from Pep Meyer. And up in front of it all, have to give credit to Mikko Laino. I'm not sure Partinen's managing this race, but Mikko's gained a little bit in the last couple laps, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like he has come in a little bit more. Remember, Partonen made that mistake a couple of laps ago, back on lap 21, 22, and 23. Maybe back to form here with a little bit of a growth of about 15 thousandths of a second. Now, I mean, the gap is still 3.6, so it's still pretty sizable here as they're going to cross over the line with 8 to go, excuse me. But, yeah, okay, there comes the time back from Paulie, gaining 2/10 on that last lap.
And maybe wasn't feeling as comfortable as he was before and has decided to pick up the pace. But yeah, for 3 straight laps, Mikko was running him down. That is very interesting. This might not be over completely. As heading along Central Avenue, Jukka Tolinen has been his typical cool Finnish self, just not being fazed by 3 cars filling up his mirrors this almost entire race.
Yeah, he has just had to keep his eyes focused behind, being very, very careful not to let anything happen to him. And I've got to give credit. It is one of the hardest things in the world to be running a race like this under very, very tight circumstances around a street circuit with a mirror full of another car, and knowing that if you make a mistake, it's not only going to send you off into the wall, but it could lose you a position.
Indeed, and he's been dealing with that mental side of it so well here. Just great reflexes out in that car. Meanwhile, behind, look at the gap between Williams and Reed. Oh, and Williams is starting to push the car as it slid through both of those right-handers. And I don't think Reed is quite close enough. It takes a very aggressive move to make a pass down into turn 1, and he decides not to. Maybe setting up for the exit off of Casino Way. That was decent, DJ, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
I don't think it is. The draft just not nearly powerful enough to pull him in, but he's going to, nope, he's going to back off on it. I think that is discretion being the better part of valor and the smarter move to make here on the day.
And I won't be surprised if we see a send there from Tim going down into the Fleming straight, that right-hander there. He seems to have a little bit less downforce than Paul, and if he gets a decent run through the Corvette bridge, he's going to send it. Absolutely.
And it's important for Paul to keep this position because he's trying to catch up to Partonen, so he really doesn't lose any more points. Already, he's going to see another big hit in that championship lead. So if he can keep Reed behind as he once again struggles coming into the fountain section, just spinning up the tires, trying to get as far away from that 7 as he can.
Yeah, and this is the part of the race where you do get a little bit more sketchy, Joe. Obviously, the fuel burned off here, and as these cars get lighter, they get looser, they get twitchier. They really and truly become a real handful. They're a blast to drive when you're on a big open circuit, but on something like this, when they get twitchy, they just get scary on light fuel loads.
Oh, this is even closer. This is way closer this time. Here's that chance that Michael was talking about, and Williams off to the right-hand side trying to defend, but he does not have the speed, fully ahead by the braking zone, and Reed made that one look easy. He is up into 5th now.
Yeah, that was a pretty simple move there from Timothy Reed, just recognizing where that problem was going to come. He knew that Williams had been struggling through that corner at multiple points, just waited for the right opportunity and pounced when it presented itself.
Can he run away? It looks like he's already got about 7/10 over Williams, and that's good news for him. But in front, as we saw them flash by, it looked like Tolinen and Meyer once again getting a little bit close. So what was a 4-car battle is finally spreading apart. Wonder if we're seeing a differences in setup start to take effect here, DJ, because we often talk about the way that the cars can change so much from the front to the end.
Yeah, certainly can be the case. Some drivers setting their cars up to maybe be just a little bit more stable than you would normally have at a later stage in the race. Another good battle here in the back. This is Yanni Ryanen and Karthik Pai in that distinctive yellow livery starting to close down.
Yeah, a little bit of a later Lotus that he's going for. This is from the 80s. I want to say 87 was this paint scheme. Yeah. So he is going a little bit against the trend. Oh, and Timothy Vaughn just took the fastest lap of the race. He's down in 7th. How'd he manage that? Oh, and Freckleton's had a problem. Freckleton into the fountain section after such a good race. He has hit the wall on the exit of turn 7. So our hardest charger gives it all up in the flash of an eye, DJ.
Yeah, it's very heavy damage to that car. Certainly looks like it is crabbing coming off of the corner. Yeah, that car is toast.
And extremely unfortunate. Let's see if we can get the replay on that one, because he did smack it. And it's not uncommon to see this as well, Michael, down in turn 7, trying to get so late into that corner here.
Yeah, you always want to try to take as much speed in as you can, but it's so easy to forget that the wall tightens up. You know, if you don't get past that curb and you don't get the car slowed down, it's a little wider on the rear axle. Even if you're not sliding like Dylan was, it's really easy to clip that outside wall with your rear tires and just completely destroy the rear suspension on the car.
Didn't look like he clipped it at all. He just hit that inside curb and around she went. So
that was full death over the curb into the wall, but an easy place to do it in a variety of different ways.
Okay, so maybe Timothy Vaughn has really set the car up for the end of the race here. Another fastest lap for the 10 machine. What has happened to this Brabham machine here as he just clips the dirt? Well, clearly he's pushing, DJ, as he's using every inch.
Yeah, he's absolutely pushing. I mean, I don't think he's going to really have any room to be able to gain on Paul Williams up ahead of him. Williams still has about a 5-second gap back to him, but I think it's, as you exactly said, Joe, this Brabham liveried machine just set up for the ending of the race, and it has come alive here with 4 to go.
Well, it's kind of a fascinating tidbit that really won't come to much other than maybe 2 extra points if he keeps this up. Because like you said, Williams just a little bit too far ahead with 4 laps. And in fact, make that 3 laps to go now. Partanen just across the line. That gap has come down yet again. Lino down to under 3 seconds behind Pauli Partanen. I suspect that Partanen is just managing things, and now Mikko takes the fastest lap in the meantime.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think Paulie, hasn't really, with the exception of those 3 sort of errant laps we saw in the middle of the race where he lost some time back to Mikko, he has been in control, and I think he knows at this point that he's got 2.5 seconds to bleed off a little bit here. He doesn't have to push quite as hard. He can take it a little bit easier through the corners. As long as his concentration is still very, very good, he should be fine.
Ooh, Pep Myers getting mighty close to Tolinen. Could he take that 2nd place away? He had to overtake Williams a little bit earlier, and now he might be able to disrupt the Finnish dominance of the podium here today. As they break down into turn 7, he doesn't show himself in the mirrors now, but the Club Iberia driver, as he has to actually check up that time into the fountain section.
Yes, he does. And is that going to present a little bit of an opportunity here for Pep? They've also got to watch out. Timothy Reed doing a good job closing in there behind. Paul Williams not too far back as well. They're going to come to the line here with 2 to go.
That was a tough one on the strand for Pep. You've got 2 to go, 3 to go. They run 3 to go. And he had a run on Yuka. I really think he needed to send it there. Just how many opportunities are you going to get? It's Detroit. You got to go.
I concur on that one. And Tolinen has already put himself a little bit farther out of reach. Good run here from Pep Meyer. Well, there's your send. But I was going to say, you're not going to get any overlap on that one. That was a wing and a prayer that didn't quite produce results. But it has started to slow both of them up. Timothy Reed is suddenly back on the back of them.
Yes, he is. He's called right back up in that number 7, so it's a little bit of a three-way fight here now for the final step on the podium. Pep Meyer, let's see if he's able to get that good toe again going down the strand. He doesn't look like he's going to be as close as he was. No send coming down into the fountain section, but he is very close behind.
He knows one little slip up is going to open the door, and he is going to stick his foot in the soonest he can. Whoa! But he might get a little too eager and get caught in the door there as he slid big time. Now he's going defensive as the wheels are getting spun up. Is he overheating them? He's only going to make them last one more lap because the white flag is out for Partonen.
Indeed it is, and Timothy Reed now trying to eye that 4th place position as Meyer has lost about probably 0.4 of a second off of the back of Jukka Tolvanen. That may just be enough breathing room for Jukka to be able to hold it out here. Jukka immediately darting back over to the left side of the track, trying to break a little bit of a toe if he can.
And Lino is getting kind of dangerously close to Partonen now as well. He's only 1.5 behind. I'm hoping that Partonen is just making that measured approach here, as it looks like Karthik Pai got by Ryanen as well in the number 12. So nice move there between those two. It's down to 1.2 seconds into the braking of the fountain section now. What is Partonen doing?
He's not massively slower, Joe, only about 0.2 of a second back. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, no, there was contact in the back between Pep Meyer and Williams.
Oh, and it looks like Reed is well involved in that. We'll have to come back to that replay in a moment because it might look close, but it hasn't been close for much of this race. Partonen takes the win here at Detroit. Lino will have to settle for second as Tolvanen is going to actually make it a finish sweep on the podium for third. And look at this side by side between Reed and Vaughn.
They're going to hold it out. Vaughn's going to have it in that Brabham machine as they power down on to Sunset Drive. The number 10 is going to be able to steal that 5th place.
And Pai will steal 8th. Excellent work there for the 5th, number 5 driver, up 3 positions. Let's try and find the replay on that incident. I'm trying to check and see on mine to see. It looks like, yeah, so initial contact, I believe, between Reed and Meyer, or was there contact?
I don't think there was, Joe. I think they went side by side and missed each other, but I think Tim lost it on the brakes, and then Pep, trying to open the wheel up to get out of the corner, just clipped the outside wall.
Oh, yeah, he did. We saw both of them. Great job by our director just catching that shot, seeing both action happen right in the same moment. Wow, that has got to be gutting. Unfortunately, sometimes the pressure gets you at a track that just has no room for that sort of error. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so make sure and stick around.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
Welcome back to Detroit here at Belle Isle. Round 8 for the Sunday Grand Prix Series had Pauli Partonen take the win over Mika Lino. But man, look at the gap, 0.8 of a second. It did not look like that all race long. Pauli, we believe, was managing his race until the checkers, as Tolvanen is going to make it all 3 fins on the top steps as he takes the podium here, and Paul Williams somehow gets himself into 4th in the end, mitigating a lot of the points damage behind Partonen. Timothy Vaughn went from 10th to 5th. Great run by him. Timothy Reed, in the meantime, was 9th to 6th, as Pep Meyer at the very end, getting damage, costing himself a much better finish. He winds up 7th. Karthik Pai was 8th. Yanni Ryan, losing some spots at the end, was 9th. And Barry West up 3 to get a 10th place.
In 11th, it was Keith Herner, followed by Pablo Suarez. And then we get into the drivers who DNF'd on the day: Dylan Freckleton, Topi Kortanemi, Marco Kela, and Kimo Valakainen.
It looks like Michael has headed down into the pits to catch up with Partanen after the victory. So let's see how the winner feels about today's race.
Paulie, congrats on the win.
Oh, thank you.
When Topi crashed in front of you, were you suddenly thinking, I just got to cruise to the end, or were you pushing outright the whole time?
Before Topi crashed, I was pushing really hard. I just tried to make him do some mistake, and after that I just tried to calm myself down because it's so easy to make errors with this track. So it was kind of keeping the gap to Leino, and in the end I was just slowing down more and more just to be sure that I won't make any mistakes.
Well, your strategy seems to work. You seem to have very consistent luck with keeping an even keel and keeping an even speed at Detroit and just scraping the wins away here from everyone else.
Yeah, I had some luck both times. Like both times I was slower than others, but others made mistakes. So it seems to be quite good strategy.
Sounds like you were fast enough then. Did you plan to immediately jump Mikko after Marco had got by him, or did you just have a good run there?
Yeah, I was sure that Mikko had some damage, so I was really trying to push and try to overtake him because I was sure he has some damage and he will be slow. But god damn it, he's not slow. He was making so good lap times whole race. So that was right call back then for sure. But I was sure that it would be a bit easier to overtake, but it was not. It was great overtake, I think.
Well, it was fun to watch, and thanks for giving us an entertaining race to watch. Is there anybody you'd like to thank today?
Yeah, actually, this was the best race of the season. Really, this was so entertaining, I'm sure. And I want to thank you, as always, as you make very good setups, and I use it for this week as a base also. And thanks for Jukka. He helped me a lot with this setup also. And I think we had very good and safe setup this week. And yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
That was Pauli Partanen, your winner here today. And it looks like we've got third place finisher Jukka Tolinen ready to talk to us in that number 4 machine, who certainly had quite a pack forming behind him for much of the race. Jukka, how do you deal with that pressure and seeing them in your mirrors constantly?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm surprised I actually was able to keep the car on the track in the end. I hit the wall in the second last turn multiple times, and I think it affected somehow my car. Maybe the tires were aligned again, so it didn't want to turn after that anymore very well. But yeah, I just tried to concentrate on my driving and not watching mirrors too much and just keep the flow on. So yeah, I don't really know.
Well, speaking of keeping the flow going, we missed you for 3 rounds. I was curious what, if you're okay saying, what kept you away for Imola, Laguna Seca, and Montreal?
Well, I simply wasn't home, so I could have driven. So yeah, I had a little vacation, and yeah, I don't really remember if those all were missed because of that. But yeah, anyway, I think I wasn't home during any of those races, so it's a shame.
It is a bit of a shame because you've been doing so well this season. You're third in the points coming into the race. Do you plan to stick around for Interlagos next week?
Yeah, definitely. I was a bit sick today, and I don't really think Detroit is a strong track for me. I was struggling really hard, and on Monday I was like 1.5 seconds slower than Pauli. So I think this is the best result I really could get today. So happy with it, and also a bit lucky. But Yeah, Interlagos is something that suits me much more better, so I'm waiting for that.
Well, if a third is when you're not at your prime, I look forward to seeing what happens when you're 100%. Congratulations, Jukka. That was our third place finisher, Mr. Jukka Tolinen here today. And I do believe DJ is caught up with fourth behind him, Paul Williams.
I have indeed, Paul. Any race that you can come home in Detroit is a good race, and a fourth place result. You got to feel very good with this.
Yeah, I'm just really happy to finish, really. That's my only race of the week. No practice races, no midweek races, not even a race distance, just in offline tests. So, yeah, just happy to get to the end.
Well, talk me through, just how tricky that was. You were in that train there with Pep and quite a other drivers. How much were you focused on trying to overtake and set that up, and how much were you really and truly just trying to bring the car home?
Well, I had a couple of things. I went close to the wire on the fuel, so straight away I knew I was going to be sort of down to the last half a gallon of fuel at the end, so I was trying to fuel save at the start a little bit. But then, even when I did push, I just couldn't get within, half a second after the first corner to be able to challenge down the straight, and then we seemed pretty evenly matched. So it was really hard to get a chance. But I think I would have been quicker in free air, but you've got to be able to overtake, and it's really tricky. And at the end, the car became quite hard at the end. Did a couple of unexpected things, and then I had a lap where the front just had no grip. It was really weird. So I thought at that point, with the fuel being close, just bring it home.
Well, only a couple of races to go left in the season. Any that you're particularly looking forward to?
Not really. Sao Paulo will be good. I think just enjoying most races, to be honest, at the moment, being near the front. And I think it was interesting to see that sort of before the last lap shenanigans happened. I think we were a lot closer to Paulie at the front. I don't think he was taking it easy with Mikko behind him. So that's quite encouraging to see.
Well, encouraging indeed. Paul, fourth place, hard to come by at Detroit. Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Tim and Pep for that last lap. That was great. Thanks a lot. Another one of them in Sao Paulo would be great.
Well, all right. That was Paul Williams, your fourth place driver here today.
And that's going to close us out. So we want to give a big thank you to our Lotus 79 community here for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also, we want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, Dougie, and Michael. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race, as we mentioned, is down in Sao Paulo at Interlagos. That'll be Sunday, May 15th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Up next later this evening, the Pura NASCAR Cup Series heads to Darlington. It's throwback time, and that'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.